Long, long time ago, when the postal system was modernized, the chronically overworked Postmaster General overlooked two tiny post offices. One tucked away in the rolling hills of Somersetshire, the other somewhere in London. After unsuccessfully awaiting modernization, these two offices continued with their quiet lives until one day their daily routine was violently disrupted by the letters of Lady Susan, the most accomplished coquette in England. To avoid another scandal on social media, Lady Susan had now taken to letter writing, and her letters were eagerly expected by the two post offices through which all of these letters coincidentally passed. What with the secrecy of the letter no longer being what it used to be, Lady Susan's letters soon ceased to be private after all.
Patricia, I said I want no more part in this.
And I said, my dear Sandra, it is your duty to participate in team-building activities.
Reading other people's letters is not a team-building activity. It is a crime.
No, it's not. I say it is a team-building activity, and as I am your boss, so do you. I understand why you feel this is wrong, but then again, we have been wrong too, and no one rose to our defense. All right, you may leave, but do consider that you might be hurting your colleagues if you spoil their fun.
Hello there.
Hello.
Was it something I said?
Oh, no, Michael, no worries. She'll come back eventually.
Conscious bothering her again?
Sandra again? Oh, she's such a spoilsport.
Maybe she's just conflicted.
Conflicted? What did I miss?
Well, so's Janice, and she can manage.
Oh, girls, please leave her alone. She'll come around.
Wait, why can you say girls and I can't? Oh. Is Sandra conflicted? Hang on. I'll go talk to her. You just start without me.
Well, if that's what she wants. Fine. There are again 2 letters today. This one's Mrs. Vernon's reply to her brother. Well, my dear Reginald, I have seen this dangerous creature and must give you some description of her, though I hope you will soon be able to form your own judgment. She is really excessively pretty. However, you may choose to question the allurements of a lady no longer young. I must, for my own part, declare that I have seldom seen so lovely a woman as Lady Susan. She is delicately fair, with fine grey eyes and dark eyelashes, and from her appearance one would not suppose her more than 25, though she must in fact be 10 years older. I was certainly not disposed to admire her, though always hearing she was beautiful, but I cannot help feeling that she possesses an uncommon union of symmetry, brilliancy, and grace. Her address to me was so gentle, frank, and even affectionate, that if I had not known how much she has always disliked me for marrying Mr. Vernon, and that we had never met before, I should have imagined her an attached friend. One is apt, I believe, to connect assurance of manner with coquetry, and to expect that an impudent address will naturally attend an impudent mind. At least I was myself prepared for an improper degree of confidence in Lady Susan. But her countenance is absolutely sweet, and her voice and manners winningly mild. I am sorry it is so, for what it is but deceit. Unfortunately, one knows her too well. She is clever and agreeable, has all that knowledge of the world which makes conversation easy, and talks very well, with a happy command of language, which is too often used, I believe, to make black appear white. She has already almost persuaded me of her being warmly attached to her daughter, though I have been so long convinced to the contrary. She speaks of her with so much tenderness and anxiety, lamenting so bitterly the neglect of her education, which she represents, however, as wholly unavoidable, that I am forced to recollect how many successive springs her ladyship spent in town, while her daughter was left in Staffordshire to the care of servants, or a governess very little better, to prevent my believing what she says. If her manners have so great an influence on my resentful heart, you may judge how much more strongly they operate on Mr. Vernon's generous temper. I wish I could be as well satisfied as he is, that it was really her choice to leave Langford for Churchill, and if she had not stayed there for months before she discovered that her friend's manner of living did not suit her situation or feelings, I might have believed that concern for the loss of such a husband as Mr. Vernon, to whom her own behaviour was far from unexceptionable, might for a time make her wish for retirement. But I cannot forget the length of her visit to the Mannerings, and when I reflect on the different mode of life which she led with them from that to which she must now submit, I can only suppose that the wish of establishing her reputation by following though laid the path of propriety, occasioned her removal from a family where she must in reality have been particularly happy. Your friend Mr. Smith's story, however, cannot be quite correct, as she corresponds regularly with Mrs. Mannering. At any rate, it must be exaggerated. It is scarcely possible that two men should be so grossly deceived by her at once. Yours, Catherine Vernon.
See, I told you she was grossly misrepresented. I have the other letter from Lady Susan to Mrs. Johnson. Do you want to hear it right away?
Yes, please, dear. Go on.
Okay. So, this is from Lady Susan to Mrs. Johnson.
You already said that. Whatever. Go on.
My dear Alicia, you are very good in taking notice of Frederica, and I am grateful for it as a mark of your friendship. But as I cannot have any doubt of the warmth of your affection, I am far from exacting so heavy a sacrifice. She's a stupid girl and has nothing to recommend her. I would not, therefore, on my account, have you encumber one moment of your precious time by sending for her to Edward Street, especially as every visit is so much deducted from the grand affair of education, which I really wish to have attended to while she remains at Mrs. Somers's. I want her to play and sing with some portion of taste and a good deal of assurance, as she has my hand and arm and a tolerable voice. I was so much indulged in my infant years that I was never obliged to attend to anything, and consequently am without the accomplishments which are now necessary to finish a pretty woman. She is pretty though, I think. Not that I am an advocate for the prevailing fashion of acquiring a perfect knowledge of all languages, arts, and sciences. It is throwing time away to be mistress of French, Italian, and German. Music, singing, and drawing will gain a woman some applause, but will not add one lover to her list. Well, she must know it. Grace and manner, after all, are of the greatest importance. I do not mean, therefore, that Frederica's acquirements should be more than superficial, and I flatter myself that she will not remain long enough at school to understand anything thoroughly. I hope to see her the wife of Sir James within a 12-month. Oh my gosh, how exciting. You know on what I ground my hope, and it is certainly a good foundation, for school must be very humiliating to a girl of Frederica's age. And, by the by, you had better not invite her any more on that account, as I wish her to find her situation as unpleasant as possible. I am sure of Sir James at any time, and could make him renew his application by a line. I shall trouble you, meanwhile, to prevent his forming any other attachment when he comes to town. Ask him to your house occasionally, and talk to him of Frederica, that you may not forget her. Upon the whole, I commend my own conduct in this affair extremely, and regard it as a very happy instance of circumspection and tenderness. Some mothers would have insisted on their daughters accepting so good an offer on the first overture, but I could not reconcile it to myself to force Frederica into a marriage from which her heart revolted. That's good. And instead of adopting so harsh a measure, merely proposed to make it her own choice, by rendering her thoroughly uncomfortable till she does accept him. How clever! But enough of this tiresome girl. You may well wonder how I contrived to pass my time here, and for the first week it was insufferably dull. Now, however, we begin to mend. Our party is enlarged by Mrs. Vernon's brother, a handsome young man who promises me some amusement. There is something about him which rather interests me, a sort of sauciness and familiarity which I shall teach him to correct. He's lively and seems clever, and when I have inspired him with greater respect for me than his sister's kind offices have implanted, he may be an agreeable flirt. There is exquisite pleasure in subduing an insolent spirit, in making a person predetermined to acknowledge one's superiority. I have disconcerted him already by my calm reserve, and it shall be my endeavour to humble the pride of these self-important de Courcys still lower, to convince Mrs. Vernon that her sisterly cautions have been bestowed in vain, and to persuade Reginald that she has scandalously belied me. This project will serve at least to amuse me, and prevent my feeling so acutely this dreadful separation from you and all whom I love. Yours ever, Susan Vernon.
Why would she say such things about her daughter?
Absolutely. How can you call your own daughter a stupid girl? I would never say something like that about Dignity.
Oh, here we go again. Parents talk. Sandra, didn't you want to not join us?
Oh, never mind, dear. That Lady Susan really is quite a character, isn't she?
That's literally all you ever say about these letters.
Catherine, I think I'll have to talk to Cecily about the liberties you're taking.
Sorry, Mrs. Khan.
Well, goodbye, everyone. See you next time.
Goodbye.